Welcome back to the False Prophet channel. And this is Brother Jacob. And this is the False Prophet channel, where we get Islam destroyed and the false prophet of Islam, Muhammad, destroyed on a regular basis. In today's broadcast, we will be once again destroying Islam with Islam. And we're going to use the Quran itself. And today, we are going to focus on Surah chapter 5, ayah 3. Like, share, and subscribe. And without further hesitation, let's jump right into it. And we're going to start reading the Yusuf Ali translation. And let me highlight it. So this is the translation we will be looking at. Yusuf Ali. And it reads, "Forbidden to you for food are dead meat, blood, the flesh of swine, and that on which hath been invoked the name of other than Allah, that which hath been killed by strangling, or by a violent blow, or by a headlong fall, or by being gored to death, that which hath been partly eaten by a wild animal, unless ye are able to slaughter it in due form, that which is sacrificed on stone altars. Forbidden also is the division of meat by raffling with arrows, that is impiety. This day have those who rejected faith given up all hope of your religion. Yet fear them not, but fear me." Okay, we read that portion of the verse. Now, let's get to the good part. This is the part that destroys everything that the Muslims have been telling us. Let me highlight the juicy part of the verse. Let's get to the meat. Here it goes. Notice what it says. It says, "This day." Now, I want everybody to make a mental note. This day. Keep that in your mind. Because we're going to build our case around those two words. This day. Everybody make a mental note and plug it in your mind. And this is Allah speaking. "This day have I perfected your religion for you. This day have I perfected your religion for you, completed my favor upon you, and have chosen for you Islam as your religion." Okay, everybody, let's highlight. This is the most important part in this verse that's going to destroy Islam. Let's show you. "This day have I perfected your religion for you, completed my favor upon you, and have chosen for you Islam as your religion." Okay, now let's break this down. This is devastating. And here is why. Remember, the two words, "this day." What that means is, on this day, the particular day when this verse was translated or transmitted to Muhammad, that was the day where it says Allah perfected Muhammad's religion on that particular day. Now, the Muslims can't lie and say it doesn't say that, Brother Jacob. Let's show you. Let's highlight it. Because you know how the Muslims play. They play them little games. They can't do that with this verse because they can't say, this is weak. This is a weak hadith, brother. You know how the Muslims, they always, this is weak. It don't say that. It's a weak hadith. It don't. Nah, they can't do that because this is the Quran. Let's highlight this day. Does everybody see? Muslims, do you see? This day. This day. Muslims. Let's spell it for them. THISDAY. This day have I perfected your religion for you. Completed. On that day, he completed. You know what the word completed means, Muslims? It means if I was cleaning up my room and the last thing that I did was make my bed, and then I completed cleaning up my room. It says, this day have I perfected your religion for you, completed my favor upon you, and have chosen for you Islam as your religion. So everybody, is that clear? Is Brother Jacob adding anything? Is Brother Jacob being irrational with the breakdown of the verse? Is Brother Jacob, because you know the Muslims, they'll say 1,000,001 things. So Brother Jacob has to break it down elementary style. So the Muslims can't make any excuses whatsoever. So as you see, this day, it says, this day have I perfected your religion for you. He's talking to Muhammad. Even though it doesn't say Muhammad, the Muslims will say that it's Muhammad. But that's a whole nother argument to be raised for a whole nother day. Right now, we're going to roll with what the Muslims say, okay? This is Allah speaking to Muhammad. And he's telling him, this day I have perfected your religion. Now, let's deal with the first point. Muslims say that Allah decrees everything. Now, not just Muslims say this. This is what Muhammad said. Muhammad said, when the child is in the womb, an angel is sent and it writes down the actions, the deeds, and the amount of money and everything that the child will make in its life. And Muhammad also said that Allah decrees. He decrees before a person is even born whether or not they will go to paradise or hell. Okay? Now, when it says, this day have I perfected your religion for you, completed my favor upon you, and have chosen. Sorry about that. This day have I perfected your religion for you, completed my favor upon you, and have chosen for you Islam as your religion. When it says this, we already got the Muslims busted on the first point, Because the Muslims say that Allah decrees everything beforehand. He already decreed everything. But this verse gets Muhammad busted already. Because Muhammad says that Allah decrees everything while you are in the womb. But no, because it says right here, let's show you. Oh man, we got a lot of points to break down with this. It shows you right here, it says, this day was the day that Allah had chose Islam for Muhammad. So if Allah chose Islam for Muhammad on this particular day when he received this verse, that means he did not decree it beforehand. He's telling you, Allah is telling you that on that particular day, he chose Islam for Muhammad. But it don't stop there, people. We just getting started. We just getting started. We just getting started. Now, that's point number one. So Muslims cannot say that Allah decrees everything beforehand. Because as you see, that's not what this verse is saying. It says, this day have I perfected your religion. So point number one, Allah did not decree anything for Muhammad beforehand. Because it's telling you, this day have I perfected your religion for you. Okay, so that's point number one. Now, point number two, it says, to add to the point we made that we getting the Muslims busted when they say that Allah decrees everything. If Allah decrees everything beforehand, then why does this verse say Muslims, Abduls? Why does it say, and have chosen for you Islam as your religion? On that day, Allah chose Islam as the religion for Muhammad. It's clear as day. So far, so good, right, everybody? Brother Jacob is not adding anything. Now, for the Muslims to try to get out of this, they are the ones who would have to leave the text and go somewhere else. Because the text itself is clear as day. So, as we have shown, sorry about the screen keep messing up. So, as we have shown, it was on that particular day that Muhammad perfected Islam. And it was on that particular day Muhammad chose Islam as the religion for Muhammad, not beforehand. Okay, we got that out of the way. Now, here's another problem. Notice where it says, this day have I perfected your religion. Oh, Abdul, that's a huge problem. Okay, let's unpack this. Why is that a huge problem? You might be asking me, whether you're a Christian or a Muslim. This is an educational video, so let me answer your question. The reason why this is a huge problem is because it means that before this particular day, when Muhammad received this verse, it means he was not a prophet. So that means before this day, Muhammad was not, number one, he was not practicing Islam. Number two, he was practicing paganism. You might say, Brother Jacob, what you mean he was practicing paganism? Because look what the verse says. it says on that day, that's the day when Allah chose. Look what it says. Brother Jacob not making anything up. Brother Jacob don't have to make things up. That's the day, you see, where it says Allah chose for you Islam as your religion. Ooh, that's a dagger to the belly. That's a sword to the belly. Does everybody feel the impact of what Brother Jacob just said? Man, this hurts. On that particular day is when Muhammad became a Muslim. It said on that particular day, Allah chose Islam for Muhammad as his religion. So that means before this day, before it arrived, Muhammad was not a Muslim. Man, I don't think y'all hear me. Before the day Allah chose Islam for his religion, like the verse says, Muhammad was not a Muslim. So if he was not a Muslim, that means he was a false prophet. And his own Quran is getting him busted. Because how can you be a prophet spreading an imperfect religion? Because the verse also says, this day have I perfected your religion. So that means prior to this day, before this day that the verse is speaking about, that means every other verse that came before this verse that Muhammad was telling the people, it was not a perfect verse. So how can you be a prophet telling people things that are not even perfect? I don't think y'all hear me. Because I know, Brother Jacob, I get deep sometimes, but I'm a thinker. And every time I open up the Quran and I read it, I can break it down. And it's so, like, I don't understand how, and I don't want to go off on a tangent, I don't understand how Muslims can see this stuff and it just goes oblivious to them. This is clear as day. So that means every moment, every day before this particular day, that means Muhammad was a false prophet, because no true prophet can spread an imperfect message, because God's words coming from his messenger must be perfect. Have you ever heard of a prophet spreading an imperfect message? So as you see, it said, this day I have perfected your religion and chose Islam as your religion. But hold up. This leads to another problem. What do the Muslims always tell us about the Quran? They tell us that it's uncreated. They say it's the eternal speech of Allah. And it's one of his attributes. So that means when Allah said, this day I have perfected your religion, that means Allah's attribute, his eternal Quran, has not been, that means Allah's attribute, look what it says, this day have I perfected your religion. That means Allah's eternal speech and attribute have not always been perfect. But God is perfect throughout all eternity. And this is supposed to be God's words. And he says, oh, this is Allah speaking. This is not Brother Jacob. This is Allah speaking. He's saying, this day have I perfected your religion. Now, what is the religion of Islam? The religion of Islam is the Quran. Without the Quran, you can have no Islam. So if Allah is saying that his eternal book was perfected on that day, that means Allah has not always been perfect, which dismisses him from being omnipotent. And therefore, he is not God. Omnipotent means all powerful, all meaning covering the entire span of existence. But this verse clearly tells you that Allah did not perfect his speech until that particular day. Woo! I told y'all it's going to be powerful. I told y'all this day is the day that Allah perfected his religion and chose Islam for Muhammad. Now, this brings up another problem. That means that when Muhammad was in the cave of Hira, he was not practicing Islam. Because it says, this day I have chosen for you Islam as your religion. And he perfected it on that day. So that means that, like we already showed you in the 2 videos that we did, who ordered Jibril to squeeze Muhammad, part 1 and part 2. Everybody need to go watch that video. This verse, it enforces those 2 videos that I did, because this verse, it also proves that Muhammad was not visited by an angel, a true angel from the Most High, because a true angel can only bring a perfect message. But the verse says on that day, the religion of Islam was perfected. So that means prior to this day, when that so-called Jibril, which was really a demon, when it visited Muhammad in the cave of Hira, it didn't bring him a perfect word. Woo! This is, I don't see how I don't even see how the Muslims let this pass through, and I don't see why they would even let this be printed in the Quran. This is crazy. I know they practice a lot of taqiyya and a lot of deception, but for them to let this pass the exam, to Uthman should have burned this. Uthman, he burned a lot of Qurans. I don't see why he didn't burn this verse right here. This is detrimental. This destroys your religion, Abdul. I don't know why Uthman didn't burn this. So now, what have we unpacked? That Allah didn't decree Muhammad's life beforehand, like Muslims always tell us. We've also unpacked that Jibril was a false angel, because a true angel can't bring an imperfect word. And we've unpacked that Muhammad was a false prophet spreading an imperfect message. And not only that, he didn't even have Islam until this day, because the verse says that Allah chose Islam as his religion on that day. And we also expose that this shows that Allah cannot be God, because God is all powerful. His word, his religion is always perfect. And another problem, when it says that this day I have perfected your religion, that means, if that's the case, that means that Muhammad should not have received any more verses. Now the Muslims got to tell us this. Was this the last verse to the Quran that Muhammad received? No, it wasn't. He received verses after this verse. So that means this verse is self-incriminating to Allah because it's proving that Allah is a liar. Because if on this day, like the verse says, if on that day Islam was perfected, then that means there would be no more need for any verses in the Quran. Woo! This is powerful. And we're not finished. Now, we're about to show you something else. Now, everybody, here is where we are really about to destroy everything for the Muslims. Buckle your seatbelts. This verse, it also means that Muhammad died and went to hell. And let me tell you why. Let's show you what it says. It says, "This day have I perfected your religion for you and completed my favor upon you." Woo! Okay. What are you getting at, Brother Jacob? I know that's what you're asking me. What are you getting at? But this is what Brother Jacob is getting at. It says that day, Allah perfected his religion for Muhammad, chose him to be a Muslim. But not only that, he completed his favor upon Muhammad. Okay, what does that mean? He completed his favor upon him. That the word favor means God's mercy, God's blessings, God's security, God's protection. Anything that's uplifting and good and merciful, anything that God grants you, serenity, peace of mind. This verse is telling you that on that day, Allah completed his favor upon Muhammad. That's very detrimental. I'm going to tell you why. That means that after that day, all of the blessings and all of the favor, this means that on that day, all of the blessings and all of the favor that Allah bestowed on Muhammad, it ceased to be on that day. It ceased to be. You know why? Because it says he completed his favor upon Muhammad on that day. He completed his favor, his blessings, his mercy. It's so there are no more blessings for Muhammad in the future. Once something is completed, it's done. The favor is done. So that means there are no future benefits for Muhammad. So that means when Muhammad died and was buried in a grave, all of Allah's favor is done for him. So he can't go to paradise because going to paradise is a future event, correct? You got past, you got present, you got future. Allah's favor, one of Allah's favors for the Muslims is entering paradise. But Allah said on that day, he completed his favor upon Muhammad. On that day, not decreed before that day. No, on that day, he completed his favor upon Muhammad. That means that's it. So that means Muhammad can't go to paradise because paradise is a blessing of Allah's mercy that's bestowed upon the Muslim. So if the Muslim try to say Allah is going to let Muhammad enter paradise, they are lying. Because that would mean that the verse is a lie. Because the verse clearly says that on that day, Allah had completed his favor upon the life of Muhammad. I told y'all, don't play with me. Don't play with Brother Jacob. So there is no future favor for Muhammad. Now, you got to ask the Muslims something. Is entering paradise a mercy of Allah? Isn't that a favor of Allah? Because he don't have to do it. I mean, it's a favor. Ever heard of somebody doing you a favor? But once you complete a favor, once I tell a person I've completed my favors for you, that's it. You're not getting no favors in the future. You're done. So this is what Allah is telling Muhammad. He's telling him, this is it, Muhammad. And even Muhammad said it himself. He said he didn't know where he would go after he died. But he lied again. Even in that, he lied. Because Muhammad, this verse is telling you where you are going. You are going to hell, according to this verse. Because Allah completed his favor upon you on that day. Now the Muslims are in a sticky dilemma. How do they get out of this? There's no way to get out of this. Because if they try to say that he decreed that all of his favors were completed that day, then they would be admitting that Allah did not decree beforehand, like they always tell us. And if they say that it was that day Allah decreed, then they are making Muhammad into a liar, because Muhammad said that Allah does that while you are in the womb. Allah already figures that out. So they don't have nowhere to go. This is a complete disaster. It says, this day I have perfected your religion for you. Now, the last but not least, this verse proves that the Quran is not uncreated. And I'm going to tell you why. Because it says perfected on that day. If the Quran is uncreated, then how can this verse say, this day I have perfected your religion? Because if this verse had always existed for all eternity, then how could it say on that day the religion was perfected? So now the Muslims got to tell us, they got to say to us, what does it mean that this religion is perfected on this day? How do you perfect something? How can God's religion not already be perfected? This is the ultimate mess up. I don't know, like I said, I don't know why or how the Muslims allowed this to pass. This should have been thrown out. This right here, they should have threw this out. Uthman, he should have burned this verse right here. This destroys Islam. So now the Muslims got to tell us, you see where it says, and chosen for you Islam as your religion? But the Muslims always tell us that Jesus was a Muslim. Muslims, don't you tell us that? You say Joseph was a Muslim, Jesus was a Muslim, Abraham was a Muslim. So Muslims, you telling us that Allah chose Islam for Jesus, Abraham, but right here in the Quran, it's telling us that he just then and there chose Islam for Muhammad. And Muhammad, he was quoting verses and having visitations from Jibril before this verse. So now the Muslims, they in a dilemma. What was Muhammad before this verse? Because clearly he wasn't a Muslim. So if you're not a Muslim, that makes you a pagan. It's no gray area. You can't say he was a Christian. You can't say he was a Sabian. He was a pagan. The verse is telling you. He only became a Muslim that day and have chosen for you Islam as your religion on that day. So if Muhammad was only chosen to be a Muslim on that day, then how can you tell us that Abraham was a Muslim and Adam was a Muslim? How can you say all of that when Muhammad, he was living all of that time, so-called having these visitations from Jibril, and he wasn't even a Muslim? So how are you going to tell us that Muhammad chose Islam for the other prophets, but he didn't even choose Islam for Muhammad until that day? That don't even make sense. So this absolutely destroys Islam. This video been going on for almost 40 minutes now. I think it's time to come to an end. I hope everybody gets the point. I mean, it's really not anything to hope. It's clear as day, like I broke it down. But let's read it. Let's read it one more time and we'll sign out. This day have I perfected your imperfect religion, Muhammad, and completed my favor upon you. He completed his favor. So that means there was no future tense favors to come because it was completed. He completed his favor upon Muhammad and have chosen for you Islam as your religion. So Allah, he just then chose, he didn't choose beforehand. On that day, he just decided to choose Islam as the religion of Muhammad. But you mean to tell me, Muslims, he didn't choose Islam for Muhammad when he sent Jibril to the cave of Hira? So what did he choose for Muhammad at that time? Was he in the preliminary guess stages trying to guess and figure out what prophet he would choose to be the prophet? And then on that day, he just had an epiphany and just said, oh, you know what? I'm going to make you a prophet today. On this day, Muhammad, I'm going to choose you. I'm going to choose Islam for you, Muhammad, on this day. So as you see, everybody, this destroys the Muslims once again. Tell me what you think in the comment section below. This video is a classic. Everybody memorize this argument. Write down the points I made. The Muslims cannot get out of this. It's no way out of it. Like, share, and subscribe. And with that, this is Brother Jacob, and this is the False Prophet channel, where we get Islam destroyed and the false prophet puppet, he's a puppet prophet, and the false prophet puppet of Islam, Muhammad, destroyed on a regular basis. And this is Brother Jacob signing out.